I'm 13 News Now meteorologist Payton Domschke, and we're talking about the tropics. I really want to talk about here potential tropical cyclone number 6. Today is Tuesday, August 10th, 2021. So we're going to give you all the latest as we're just about a month away from the peak of hurricane season. Now, before we really dive into things, I want to talk about what a potential tropical cyclone is, because it's probably something you're questioning as I just started this conversation with you all. It's an area of disturbance that the National Hurricane Center, as well as ourselves, are monitoring, but it's not exactly a tropical cyclone yet, but does pose a threat to some potential areas of not only just tropical storm-like conditions, maybe it's hurricane-like conditions, but with this situation that we're really going to be talking about, it's areas that are kind of at bay to see some tropical storm-like conditions, but once again, it has not reached that threshold yet. So it's kind of just a precursor that the National Hurricane Center uses to just kind of confirm an area that we're watching a little bit further than just an area of invest. So right now that there are some hurricane hunters out there, and they just sent back some information that this area, once again, is still not a tropical cyclone at this very moment. An area that we're still watching for potential development. This is right around the Lesser Antilles right now. And now this is set to potentially take on some more tropical characteristics as we just go through this afternoon and this evening. So we could see a name taken here within just the next 12 hours or so. I mentioned the fact that we're still about a month away from the peak of hurricane season. The exact peak is actually September 10th. And so again, today is August 10th, about a month's difference there. But you also might be thinking, well, we haven't seen a whole lot of activity in the tropics. Well, we've been monitoring a few areas, but they haven't developed to anything that we've really gone out to investigate from those hurricane hunters. But our last name system that was in the Atlantic Basin was actually Elsa. And Elsa actually strengthened to a Category 1 hurricane. So the next name on the list, in fact, the 6th name on the list, and that's why it's called potential tropical cyclone number 6 right now, is it follows suit with that 6th placement of the name list here, is Fred. After Fred comes Grace, but right now we're just looking at the potential for Fred to develop. Nothing else is happening in the tropics at this very moment. So let's dive a little bit deeper into potential tropical cyclone number 6 here. Right now, the 11 a.m. advisory just dropped from the National Hurricane Center. We're still about 160 miles west of Guadalupe. Sustained winds here, 35 miles per hour. And that threshold you need to meet to become a tropical storm is 39 miles per hour. So we're still just a little bit below that. It's actually moving fairly quickly at about 18 miles per hour west-northwest. And you can see the area, it's moving a little bit farther to the west, as I already hinted at with that movement trend. It's going to make its way through parts of the Greater Antilles here just over the next 24 to 36 hours. So there are some tropical storm watches and warnings up for some of the islands here, including San Juan, parts of Puerto Rico, as well as the Dominican Republic. And you can just see some of the areas that are encompassed by those different shades of yellows and oranges on your screen. Those are just tropical storm-like watches and warnings. We're not talking about any hurricane watches or warnings with the potential for Fred to develop. Now, also, you're probably wondering, Payton, where is this headed and when can we see maybe impacts here to Hampton Roads? Well, I'm going to tell you that this system and the area we're watching is about 2,000 miles away from Hampton Roads, so extremely far away. And in fact, model outputs bring this farther west and into the Gulf of Mexico. So here briefly, as I mentioned, could strengthen here within the next 12 to 24 hours into a tropical storm. So very early tomorrow morning, we're calling this a weak tropical storm with winds at about 45 miles per hour. Now this is going to encounter some land. Tropical systems do not like interaction with land masses. They don't like the friction there. They're not thriving off of some but warm water. And it's also going to fight some drier air here. Now there is the potential as it heads back into some warmer waters that it could briefly back re-strengthen into a tropical storm. And then it actually is set to hold that strength for a little bit longer. As you know, this time of the year, those Gulf waters are very warm. Tropical systems thrive off of warm water, and they really just need a threshold baseline of about 80 degrees or warmer to continue to see some strengthening here. Now, there are other factors that they also need to see the potential for future strengthening to kind of still occur beyond just the warm waters, but that's one thing we're really going to be looking at, because this brings it just a little bit farther to the north of some of that mountainous terrain of Cuba there. Mountainous terrain would also inhibit future growth too. So we're going to watch it as it works its way a little bit closer to the Florida Keys. You can see everyone in this cone of uncertainty includes the entire peninsula of Florida here. So this actually parks it just to the west of Tampa, Florida at about very early Sunday morning. So we're going to continue to watch that for you as it makes its way into the Gulf. But that is the latest track from the National Hurricane Center. Here over the next several days, though, the Spaghettiplot models, all of the computer models we run in tandem with our tropical systems and their future outputs, are really in consensus as this brings it farther westward and into the Gulf. But that's when things get a little bit more on the messy side. Now, not extremely messy where we don't have any kind of pinpointing here, but it does get a little bit more on the broader scale as it works its way back into the Gulf. So this is that time frame as we approach this upcoming weekend that we're really going to focus on bringing you some of that latest trajectory, because you might have folks that live down in parts of the Gulf Coast states. So once again, we'll keep you posted on any changes. There's a whole lot of nothing though happening in the rest of the Atlantic basin. Things are quiet, things are calm and collective beyond the potential for Fred developing. Once again, we will continue to update you if Fred does develop here on air and online, and you can always subscribe to this our Facebook page for notifications along with this YouTube page, but you can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Ask me all of your tropical questions. Once again, this is the latest, and it's been the latest from not only the National Hurricane Center, but here at 13 News Now on Tuesday, August 10th in relation to potential tropical cyclone number 6.